If you listen to the media and the constant rhetoric about San Francisco, you'll believe it to be a dirty, lawless, and dangerous city. That it's a city where everything has failed and broken down, from housing to crime to quality of life. Yes, San Francisco has problems, nobody denies that. But the city is much more than its problems. That's why more than 23 million people visit San Francisco each year. Ironically, more than the 17 million that visit Disneyland, the happiest place on earth. San Francisco is beautiful, it's vibrant, and it's full of life. Photography in San Francisco has also gotten a bad rap because there has been a lot of crime around photography, from the Leica store getting robbed a few years ago to countless articles of photographers facing theft, robberies, assaults, being followed, and having their gear taken from them forcefully at the hands of criminals in San Francisco. I wanted to make this video today to tell you the truth about photography in San Francisco, and ultimately to share with you how to navigate these concerns if San Francisco would be a place you'd ever want to come take photos of. And let me just also add that I believe that everything I'm going to say would be true of any major metro in the US. So hopefully these tips would benefit you wherever you go in a major metro in the US. And before we jump in, if this is your first time here, my name's Dave. I'm a photographer and videographer from right here in the Bay Area. I invite you to subscribe to this channel. I post 2 videos a week unless something goes horribly wrong. And it's happened before, just recently even, but that's for another video. So let's jump in and let's talk about photography in San Francisco. The very first thing I want to talk about is the size of your kit. So let's lay out a couple of scenarios, okay? First off, you're going into the city and you want to take photos around the city, which are probably going to be mostly people, buildings, and locations. You should take the smallest kit possible. My go-to is my Leica M11 or M6, not both. I pick a camera for the day, and I like to take my 35 Summilux or my 28 Summicron, which is about the exact same size. This is typically the size of my kit whenever I'm in the city. Now, what happens often is I see tourists walking around the city with something like this. This is a Sony a7R5 with the 50, which is not a big lens if I'm honest with you, but just from a size comparison, we've got a much bigger camera in my right hand than in my left hand. And this looks like I'm walking around with an expensive camera, and this is pretty discreet. Now, I will say I do think people that steal cameras are aware that that is a Leica, whether you cover the red dot or not, but a blacked out camera is fairly discreet, whereas this is not. But so many times I see guys walking around these iconic locations and they're carrying a backpack that's huge with this in their hand, and I just don't think that's very wise. And while we're talking about kit, how I carry my camera, I think, is a little bit of a deterrent as well. Rather than putting my strap over my neck and walking around like this, where someone could pretty easily pull it off me, when I'm in a major metro, and by the way, this is not just true of San Francisco, any metro that I'm gonna be in, I'm going to cross my strap over my body. Now, this strap is not necessarily long enough to carry like this all the time. It's not super comfortable to carry like this. If I wanted a dedicated strap to carry like this, I would have gone a little longer, but this strap is comfortable enough to put across my body like this, and this is much harder to snatch off my body than it would be if it was around my neck. I will just fully disclose I'm only doing this in certain parts of SF that I know are unlikely to have any drama. And I say unlikely because it's unlikely, I didn't say impossible. Now, this strap is from Clever Supply. It is aging beautifully over the years. Honestly, just the best strap I think you can buy. There's a link below. If you use my custom code, you'll get yourself a little discount, so be sure to check out Clever Supply. But as I was saying, that's not typically how I carry around the entire city. This would be just in some locations, which again, we're gonna talk about in a minute. So let's pivot the conversation to how I do carry this, and this is a conversation really about bags. As I was mentioning earlier, I don't carry big, obviously photography bags into any metro, and this would be true of San Francisco as well. I want to carry something that doesn't say this is a camera bag, so I am avoiding certain brands that make camera bags, and they're very obvious camera bags. I also don't carry anything super tactical because, again, that just communicates gear, and I don't want to communicate gear when I'm walking around a metro. How I typically carry my Leica, this exact same rig, when I'm in San Francisco, is something like this Fall Raven fanny pack. I think that's how you pronounce that name. Fall Raven? If I'm wrong, just correct me. But check this out. This is big enough for me to put my Leica M11 with the 35 Summilux in. Fits perfectly inside. Kind of put my strap in there, or I might even take my strap off if I know I'm only going to be shooting in areas where I'm going to do this. I also picked up from the same brand these little pads and straps just to put a little more comfort into it. And I typically carry this just on my chest like so. I typically have a jacket on in the city over this, and so right here I've got a very discreet camera setup. You don't know just by instinct there's a camera in here because this is not a camera bag, it is just a fanny pack. And what I'll do is when I want to shoot, I will pull my camera out, I'll take some photos, and then when I'm done, I just wrap that lens with the strap and stick the camera back in the bag and zip it up and continue on. And really, like, this is all I'm gonna carry in San Francisco. But let's say I've got something in the city that does require me to bring a couple of options. Let's say I want to bring the M11 and the 35 and the Q2 monochrome. Obviously, both cameras are not going to fit in this little bag. In a scenario like this, I'm going to bring something like a small camera cube. This one's from Peak Design, but it can really be any camera cube. And I'm going to bring just a messenger bag. Nothing that says this is a tactical bag, something that says this is just a bag. You see, there are a lot of people walking around SF every day. They're carrying their briefcases, their messenger bags, and their backpacks, but they're not photographers carrying these technical bags. They're just carrying bags. And so with something like this, I will just slide the camera cube into the bag. I'll put in whatever I need gear-wise. Let's put in both of these cameras. I have room in here for other things as well. I'll zip the bag up and I will carry this bag the same way I would carry any other bag if I was just walking around for work. I'll just put it on my side and I will blend in to the rest of the people in the city that are just walking around with their bags. This bag is a Filson messenger bag. It doesn't have to be this bag, but I've had this bag for many years and really love it. It is discreet enough. It does not stand out. It doesn't scream gear. It's just a bag. So that is how I carry the various gear, or just the single camera, on the days where I want to go shoot in San Francisco. The next tip I'm gonna give you, tip number 2, is to just be really car smart. San Francisco is not a huge city in terms of square miles. I mean, I think it's 6 or 7 miles across. It's just not massive, but it's really dense. Most of the time, the rental cars come out of SFO, but it is pretty obvious that those are rental cars, even with the California plates, they'll likely have barcodes on them or the sticker in the decal that says this is a rental car. That stuff is a pretty obvious target when parked on the street. The best thing to do if you want to move around San Francisco and shoot in the city proper is to walk and use public transportation or Uber even. Parking in any metro can just be a headache. And there are parking garages all over the city, but I have seen broken windows even in some of the most safe parts of town in the parking garage. You should never leave anything in your car in San Francisco. By my own rules, I don't even leave a jacket in my car in San Francisco. And if you have to rent a car, that is okay. Stay at a hotel that gives you parking and then don't drive around the city all day. You're gonna be paying for parking everywhere you go anyway. Just so much easier to use public transportation around San Francisco. But if you want to cross the Golden Gate Bridge and go to the other side to take photos of the city, you may need a car, or again, you can Uber or Lyft, or you can bike across the bridge. Renting a bike is always a fun thing to do too. Or you can walk the Golden Gate Bridge. But there are some great places to take photos on the other side, and you do likely need a way to get over there, but just follow the rule. Like, don't leave anything in your car, especially gear. And you think, hey, I'll tuck this under the seat. Nope, they will find it. You think I'll put my backpack with my laptop in the trunk? Nope, they will find it. I know plenty of people that have had their windows smashed and their stuff taken, from computers to iPads to gym clothes. That's right, someone's gym bag was stolen with all their clothes in it. It's not worth it. So be car smart in how you move around the city with your camera gear, with your stuff, just keep it on you. I mentioned in the beginning of the video that there are 23 million people on average that visit San Francisco each year, and that is a lot of tourists. Like I said, that's more than Disneyland gets in a year. SF is an incredible spot where a lot of people come to, and so your third tip is to not be like them. As a photographer moving around the city, just act local. Nobody knows who you are or where you come from. The city is incredibly diverse. You are only gonna stand out if you do the tourist things, which is look confused, constantly be on your phone, not know the layout of the city, and again, it's not that big, so a little bit of research on the front end and studying up on your geography will make it really easy for you. Just act local and don't draw attention from yourself. As I mentioned before, don't carry around a giant camera. That's what a tourist would do, not a local. As I mentioned, just learn some of the layout of San Francisco before you come. You could spend an hour or two just doing some research about the parts of town that you want to be in. You can use Google Maps to walk around the city and find some cool spots for you to visit, find those restaurants, that hotel, that landmark, and just plan ahead, and then you can act like a local. It's just way safer for you to do that. So what I've got for you right below is a link to my website where I lay out a few locations that I enjoy shooting in that might not be in like the top 5 Instagram spots. God, I hate those blogs. They're places that you might enjoy taking photos at. Some of them are well known, some might not be, but you should check out that list right below and some examples of the types of photos you can get there. Do a little research, plan ahead, bring a small kit, blend in, and leave nothing in your car, and you will be all set taking photos around San Francisco, and hopefully you won't make the news. Because that is a great goal to have as a photographer. We don't want to make the news, unless the news is licensing our photos. And remember, these same rules can basically apply to any metro in the US. If you have any tips as well, whether it's about San Francisco or anywhere else, drop them below and share them with the community. Let's be people who share our knowledge, and let's not gatekeep it, and let's help each other out. If you found this video helpful, give it a like and be sure to subscribe to this channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.